Good evening, viewers. Welcome to another episode of COVIDCASTJA, brought to you by the Private Sector Association of Jamaica. So, today is our 25th episode. Now, Nevada, if we were a married couple, it would be like our 25th anniversary. Is that our
Uh,
diamond anniversary?
no, diamond is 50. 25 is gold. Don't
25
it?
gold? No, diamond. But may I
Not
accept
that.
the diamond?
Oh, all right.
It's our 20th
It, it,
episode.
it, it has been delivered to the house. You get it?
Thank you, darling. So welcome again. I know many of you have been with us from episode 1. And did I say Private Sector Association? It's a private sector organization of Jamaica, the
That's
PSOJ.
right. Yes.
So
Yes.
today, in honor of this very important episode, we have to
Sorry,
have
we just got corrected by our producers. It's silver.
it's silver. A silver.
Silver.
All
Yes. All
right.
right.
I keep it in
All right.
mind.
So I guess
Today
it's
is our
a fork and knife coming. Let me start the
and you
people
know,
show. Come on.
so I'm talking about award-winning customer service because this episode we needed to talk about the core of the success of a business. Nevada, we talk all the time about customer service. That sometimes we'll pay a little bit extra for good customer service. That sometimes very good customer service is a service that's so reliable that you never have to speak to anybody. It's
Yes.
always on. You know that when you press that switch, it's gonna work, and that's all you ask for. You actually don't want to speak to anybody. You want an easy
Yes.
way to pay your bill, and you
Yes.
want to know that you're always on.
And
And
the organization is responsive, of course.
exactly that
Yeah.
the few times that you do have to reach out, there
Yeah.
is someone to reach out to, whether or not it's a live chat or a physical person, because we're going to be talking about all of those things today.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
remember, we're taught about customer service with a smile. Now, much of the customer service is being delivered by live chat, and you're not
That's
seeing
right.
the person and the smile. We have to
Yeah.
talk about even how phones are answered. How do you communicate with your customers during this COVID period? And how do
Yeah.
you make that customer service your differentiator in this time? Because a lot of businesses have been able to move from obscurity to where persons know about them because they have tapped into excellent customer service. So today we're not just talking about fenke customer service. We're not talking about all right customer service. We're talking about award-winning customer service.
Yeah.
We have a great show tonight. We're going to be joined first by Nevada. Paul is going to take us through, because we have to have the Nevada experience. And we're also going to be joined by two customer experience experts, Dr. Nsombi Jaja, who many of you know. You also know Yanique Grant very well. And then we're going to be joined by Chang. And I will say very openly, from my favorite pharmacy in the whole wide world, that place where you go, where everybody always knows your name and
Yes.
always glad you came, or Goodly Fontana.
And you also find products that you don't find elsewhere very often. But
Exactly,
yes.
exactly. So we are going
The
to be
other thing,
talking with
the other thing I want to say, Rochelle, is the whole idea also. When you're being served well by a place, if some other competition comes to you with them like a fenke discount, 10%, 15%, you don't even entertain the offer, because customer engagement, customer satisfaction. If somebody gets it right, you do not move. Right. So we also have to remember there is
because that's a
value.
very good point for us to start on, Nevada. That when
Absolutely.
you are receiving great customer service, even when the competition comes, it almost feels disloyal because you actually feel connected to this brand, to this place where you know exactly. Because you remember, consistency is key. Every time you go, you get the same level. And in
Same.
fact, it
Absolutely.
almost feels that they always add a little something to it. Never lower, always greater. So,
Yes.
Nevada, what are we going to start talking about? I know you have some strong views, and we have some solid learnings too that we want to impart to our SMEs today on award-winning customer service. So,
Excellent.
Where we're gonna
So
start?
today, as always, we try and break it down into simple language as a framework to start. And obviously afterwards, you can get far more expertise and far more detail than we do at the beginning. And certainly at the end, talking about Fontana and how they deliver incredible customer service is a good sort of round out to the show. But the first thing, one.
Nevada, if you have, we have a full memo, and I have mine printed so that you can know that it's very real. This is a 14-page memo that comes with links to resources. If you have not received your memo, please email us right now at sme@psoj.org. sme@psoj.org. So this is a resource that's provided by the private sector organization of Jamaica that our SMEs have the weekly memo at your fingertips. So please email us right now.
Fantastic. Okay, so the first issue is expertise in the products and services that you offer. Now, have you been to a restaurant and you're one of the first, maybe one in the first half an hour of the opening for dinner, and you say, "What's the soup?" And the person says, "Oh, let me go check." It's quite annoying. And the reason it's annoying is because you know the restaurant is opening. You know that soup is on the menu and every day the soup change. And therefore, you should already have identified that, or the manager should have already spoken to the staff that this is the soup. Or you put in an order for, "All right, give me the steak au poivre." And the person go back, take everybody order, go into the kitchen and come back and say, "Guess what, we don't have steak." Why was this not known before the restaurant opened for that day? People need to sit down with the front staff, whether it's daily or weekly or monthly. And anybody who's frontward facing should understand what are the products, what are the services, and what are the processes by which something happens at the company. So if I'm applying for a loan, let's say at a bank, somebody can legitimately ask, how long will the loan process take? Right? They must have some deeper knowledge at the front side and not be in ignorance about what is being served or being offered. So very, very crucial. And by the way, if your product list or service list is so long that an individual cannot remember, then certainly they should have a computer or a tablet or something that they can do a quick check, right? What are all your loan products? We have 5 different loan products. And this one is this one is this is good for this is good for that, etc. Just some semblance of what will work for the person being in front of them or on the phone, for whatever it is, right?
So what was that steak that you ordered a while ago?
Oh, the steak au poivre, pepper steak.
Say that now.
Exactly. Exactly. Customer appreciation, number 2. What I love is, you ever go to those at Christmas time, like at Grosvenor Terrace or at Devon House, where they have these Christmas markets and so on. And I have to tell you, you ever go to one of the Indian booths, and they are right there as soon as you walk into the booth. Try this. They are constantly in the mode of selling. Compared to some of the other booths where the people are sitting back, you come into the booth, then they want to get up. If you need anything, call me. Over here. If you say anything, if you have any questions, ask me. It's a very low engagement way to try and get a customer. Especially going to a retail store, and there are stores. Soho, for example, is one. If you go in there, or Kerry, man, woman, you go in there. But if you go into those places, you go in and they're immediately engaged with you, helping you, supporting, etc. And other places, the people are sitting at the back, but share the phone, or on the phone, but no sense of, do I appreciate if the customer has come in? So customer appreciation is about an orientation. Do I genuinely appreciate this person coming in, or are they a bother? Because a lot of businesses here communicate, you are bothering me, right? Or is it a proper kind of welcome, let me help you, let's get through this? And again, we're not trying to be irritating, because you don't want to be on the person's shoulder, walking around with them. That's not what you need. You need to be available, visible, and then allow the person to do their thing. But certainly when they walk in, show that appreciation.
Yes.
Third, accessibility across multiple channels, as you started to mention at the beginning, right? So now it's not, many of this selling is not physical anymore in person, but you have to be available online. You have to be available on the phone. And again, the website should tell more information. Now, what we have found, and this is now true, There are different types of consumers or in different moods. For example, I'm a person who I don't mind picking up the phone and call. But you take a younger person, they don't want to talk to anybody. They want to WhatsApp or find the information on the website. And in fact, if the information is not on the website, you've lost them because they're just not going to call. So you have to recognize now that not everybody is okay with picking up the phone and calling and getting, etc., etc. So you have to have everything available in multiple ways on multiple channels and not sort of incomplete information because you will lose the customer. For example, I've had situations where you get a WhatsApp from a restaurant about the dinner and tell you this delicious steak, blah, 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 with your choice of sides. And you look in the WhatsApp and they don't tell you what the choice of sides is because you must call and find out, or you must go to the website and find out. But why can't it say this amazing meal with these choice of sides, name the sides, and it costs this much? Again, often you see these things and they don't tell you how much it costs. I can't bother call now, I may be ashamed because when I call and say, how much is it? The person telling me, I say, I can't afford it. I don't want to be in that business. You could have told me everything on the WhatsApp. That where I know. So all channels, clear communication, as full communication as possible, so the person doesn't have to go to another channel to complete their information.
Yeah. And also when you are using multiple channels, you have to know what channels you can actually manage. So I find some businesses are really good on Instagram and they're not as good on Facebook, or they're good on Facebook and they're not good on Instagram. And when you also have to be constantly updating these channels. So if the product is no longer available, you can say sold out. That means that lots of people want it, and that may also drum up some demand. But you also have that duty that you need to be managing those channels that you have.
Yes, absolutely. Then we have, I think, what we call number 4, friendly professionalism. And it's interesting because there's always a line that we often struggle with. We all remember this is not a family, I mean, for the most part, right? It's not a family member or a good friend or your brethren, even if the person comes into the store all the time. In fact, I got a situation a few months back. I went into a store that I go into often, and the sales person there begged me a Smalls. I've never been back, and I couldn't even call the owner. But I know what happened because I'm there all the time and I'm friendly. They think that they can move into that line, and I'm like, no, that don't work. That don't make me comfortable. I mean, I'm not coming back. I'm not going to store anybody beg me anything. But for maintain a kind of friendly but professionalism. And the other thing is, please do not try and date because sometimes you say, I like it coming in. They smiling, you smiling, so you try to do it. It's like, no. Maintain the professionalism of it is a business situation. You want to be friendly, but always professional. Do not mistake the friendliness of the customer to indicate any kind of interest beyond just getting through the sale or whatever it is for the day.
And friendly and professionalism, when you put them together, it's not, so we're not sweetie, we're not darling, in love, no. And so sometimes we get a little too comfortable. So I like to say for this one, don't be enough.
Yes. Number 5, empathy. Try to understand who your customer is. Now, you, Rochelle, as a lawyer, anybody that's come to see you as a lawyer, they are already distressed. Exactly. So you have to be calm and collected, not only for you, but for them. Also, as a lawyer, they don't understand half the language sometimes that lawyers use. So you have to be empathetic also to describe what it is that you're doing in a way that they can understand. Again, this notion of empathy. This is about understand. Are they nervous? You got to see a doctor, right? You expect a certain bedside manner. Yes, the doctor deals with cancer every day. So for him, it's just wrote. This is what you got to do. This is what you do, etc. The person who's dealing with you don't deal with cancer every day. They need compassion, right? So the whole idea of empathy. Read the signals. Do they understand the language that you're using? Are they comfortable with the subject matter? And are you giving the right tone so that the person feels comfortable extending themselves, talking about the issue further? Empathy, crucial.
I'm glad that you mentioned a professional service like law
Yes,
and medicine and accountants, because
yes,
sometimes professional persons who are trained in particular professions come
yes,
across as I am the expert. You just need to come in, pay the money, hear what I have to say, but we're not having a conversation. And it is
yes,
very important that our professionals understand that they are also required to give exceptional customer service.
absolutely, absolutely. Number 6, first call resolution. Rochelle, you
Mhm.
ever call a place, especially a big company, and them tell you yes, but you have to call, no, oh, we can't help you with this here. Call this number, and you call that number, and then somebody else send you somewhere else, and there's a whole heap of confusion. Many times you don't even bother you give up, you can't get it resolved, or you're supposed to find out if some no, check the other store. Okay, so here's the thing. Imagine if you are first to resolve whatever problem presents. We're not saying that you need to be the expert, but I am going to come back to you with the expert. So you call me, and I work at an insurance company. And you ask me a question. I said, Rochelle, let me just repeat what your problem is. And I tell you what it is. I said, Rochelle, I don't know the answer myself, but I'm going to call you back in half an hour, in an hour tomorrow, right? I'm going to tell you the time,
Mhm.
basically, and I will get back to you. I call Mark. Mark, I tell you, tell Mark the problem. Mark describe the issues to me, etc., etc. I call it a point in time with Mark on the line. I said, Rochelle, I've explained to Mark that this, and this. So what have I done? I have made you hear what I've confirmed with you what I'm saying, and Mark has also heard that he has confirmed. And then I say, Mark will resolve your issue. Boom. That's what you call first call resolution. Because I have taken it upon my responsibility to find the right person inside the organization. I am not sending you on the wild goose chase. Let me go on the wild goose chase, and I'm bringing you the answer, right? That is also crucial in terms of how you will feel versus me say, no, our department don't deal with that, you know. Call this number, or let me forward you to forward this number, book, and you have to repeat your whole thing again and all of that stuff. First call resolution. By the way, one of the best hotel chains in the world, the Four Seasons, I once benchmarked them for a project. Whoever you ask the question, including housekeeper, this, that, resolves the issue for you right there. So if you have a piece of mail that needs to be sent FedEx and you're walking down the hall of the Four Seasons and you say to the housekeeper, and you say to the housekeeper, where would I take this to get it sent FedEx? The housekeeper will say, give it to me. What room are you? You're Mr. Paul, Mr. This, whatever. Anybody resolves any problem. Even a simple thing like if there's a glass somewhere that it shouldn't be, any staff member, including the owner manager of the brand, who sees it will pick it up. Everybody is around first call resolution, right? Very
Never,
crucial.
because you
Yes,
mentioned Four Seasons. So I know some
yes,
of our SMEs are saying, but that is big, big Four Seasons. But say
yes,
we were to benchmark ourselves on the particular principles of the customer service, and
yes,
within our small organization, we had that kind of transparent communication that our team members are constantly apprised of what is happening with the business. So when I
yes.
call you to say, do you have this in stock? That person either knows right away or can say, can you hold for me 1 second? And they know immediately where to get that information. So it's very important
Absolutely.
that when we're even looking and at big businesses with exceptional customer service, that we also benchmark our smaller business to say, in my small arena, how am I delivering that? Because I can deliver even more boutique customer
Correct.
experience because I can know my customer in a different way than the large business would know my customer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Number 7, response time, right? How long if somebody calls you about a product, if somebody calls you about a service, if somebody calls you about the error that's made, what is your expectation as a business owner before you respond and you resolve the issue? Many businesses do not even ask the question. So that is where you have a situation where somebody call 3 days later, 4 days later, them a call back. Oh, we never
Mhm.
get to you. So some sense of what would you like your response time to be? 24 hours, 48 hours, and then to ask yourself, are you actually doing it? Right?
Yeah.
By talking to your customers, checking with things, checking with your staff. Who still has an issue outstanding that we're trying to get? Who is still waiting on product delivery? And how are you going to deal with that? The response time is crucial. Ongoing communication, number 8, right? And what's your plan? Sometimes if somebody who's before their customer, you communicate in a certain way. When they become a first-time customer, you communicate in a certain way. And know that when they're a regular customer, you communicate in a certain way. Which channels are you reaching them on? How often are you talking to them? What are you saying when you talk to them? And by the way, don't just send messages, send messages. Some people lose customers because they send out too much email or too much WhatsApp. And you're like, no, I don't want to hold for WhatsApp from you. I hold for WhatsApp from my friend already, right? So you want to say, how am I communicating? And is what I'm communicating of value to the person who's getting this message? But if you're sending me 3 messages a day about what is on your menu, and your menu not even changing that often, that's just irritation. That's just noise. But if you have a special about fish, and you know I like fish, and you send the fish thing 1 hour before dinner time, that's what you call beautifully targeted information. Or if you know I'm waiting on my phone to be fixed, and you identify there's a part that's thing, you send me an information and say, we have now sent away for the part. You're updating me on the progress of my phone fixing. That's information I want to get. When you don't, when I put in my phone for repair, I mean, I hear from you, I mean, I hear from nobody, I have a car, when I'm on my phone, oh, soon come, vague, unhelpful. Soon come mean what? Tomorrow, next week, 1 month from now? Tell me and tell me why, right? Yeah. Ongoing communication. What do you expect and what do you plan? Next, 9, apology and crisis management. Be very clear what it is that you expect it to happen. Right now in Jamaica, because of our culture, most things will escalate in a very negative way. So you have to counter program it. You come to me, and your customer has the dress that you buy, tearing up, whatever. I say, what are you talking to me for? And me choose the clothes that come in here. We just sell, right? And then we have an escalation. But if the boss and owner of the store had explained to me, if somebody comes in with a piece of clothing that is not up to their satisfaction, A, do we take it back? B, do we not take it back, but we give them a little money back? C, do we just apologize? But give me some detailed guidance around when things go wrong in our organization. What is it I'm supposed to do? Because if you leave me on my own, it is likely that it is going to escalate. And I'm at a minimum, I'm sure you as a business do not want it to escalate.
Yeah.
And 10, as you spoke about, the whole idea of consistency. You must be consistent. It's the most annoying thing. Again, different day, different level of service, different person, different level of service, different offering. For example, when you go to TGI,
I want to know somebody. I hate when you have to know. I don't like when you have to know somebody. I don't want to know somebody. I don't need to know somebody. I just want to go. I just want to go. I don't know anybody at all.
Exactly. Exactly. And also the consistency around what the product is that you're giving. If you order margarita on Monday and on Friday at TGIF, it's the same margarita. It doesn't matter who is your bartender that night. Many bars in Jamaica cannot do that, and they end up saying, "Why? May I wait till Roy finish serve the other people because only Roy can make my margarita." What is that? No, everybody needs consistent training in the product and service offering. So just quickly to recap before I leave you to the deeper experts, slide. Expertise in product, service, and company processes. Your frontline needs to know. Customer appreciation. Do you care that the customers come in, or are they bothering you? Accessibility across multiple channels. Make sure your customer service is fantastic across multiple channels. Face-to-face, phone, or online. Friendly, but professional, right? Do not cross the line, but always be available. Empathy, right? Around what is the person feeling when they're calling me? If it's medicine, law, money, they're nervous, they're scared, they don't necessarily understand the language. Make sure you're using simple language. Make sure you're making them comfortable. Make sure you're making allowances for them to ask as many questions as possible. First call resolution. Don't have them call around in trying to resolve an issue. You solve it for them and bring the answer to them. Response time. Have a view. How long before their situation is resolved? What's your ongoing communication plan? When somebody has something that they're waiting on, when somebody's a first-time customer, when somebody's a repeat customer, how do you communicate? What do you say? How do not over-communicate? And how do you communicate with valuable information? What about the apology? What's your apology? What's the level of apology that you give? How do you manage a crisis? What happens for them when major things go wrong? It should be clear. and consistency. Consistency in the product that you deliver, the service, and the customer service. That's crucial. Those are sort of the anchor points from our perspective.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fantastic show. Welcome everybody for being on board. And Rochelle, thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you. I see a message here from Romeo Stewart. He says, listen, the chicken must taste the same way Friday, like how it was on Monday. And Nevada, I love a fried chicken like nobody's business. There is a place called Lorna's Catering. Monday,
Yes.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Very good. Always nice.
All and taste the same way.
I taste the same.
All the time.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So Nevada, and now we are going to welcome some of our expert guests. So today we are joined by two fantastic women. Yanique Grant is a customer experience specialist. She does professional training and occupational services. In fact, her company is called Professional Training and Occupational Services Inc. She's the founder. Yanique is extremely, and I mean extremely devoted and advocates greatly for individuals to develop strong communication skills built on enthusiasm, compassion, and tactical empathy when serving each and every customer. Yanique is an author, she's a podcaster, she's a trainer, she's a consultant that helps business leaders, corporate executives, managers, and employees navigate the landscape of their customer experience and build winning customer service cultures. We're also joined today by Dr. Nsombi Jaja, author, business consultant, life coach, fantastic speaker. Dr. Jaja is the managing director of Quality Consultancy Company Limited, a regionally recognized consulting practice which provides assistance to the Caribbean business community in the areas of strategic management, quality management, leadership development, and customer service management. She's worked with several companies. She's worked with Flo, Grace Kennedy, Sagicor, Sandals, all over the place. She's very, very well known. She also serves on the board of the School of Graduates at UCC. And I know one of the things she's also very passionate about is project management. So, Yanique and Nsombi, thank you so much for joining us. Both of you are actually members of Jamaica Customer Service Association. And Nsombi, you're chairman of JAXA.
Yes, and Yanique is on the board.
Yes. So you know that we are really joined by the experts today. Now, let me tell you, Nevada and I were just talking about all of these tenets of customer service. And as Nevada was going through, I'm saying to myself, though, when we talk about all of these tenets of customer service, and we know in various boardrooms, there's always this discussion about customers are number one. We love our customers and we're going to put our customers first, but we're not necessarily feeling it as the customer. So I just want to start with the point of defining what is good customer service. What is good customer service? And somebody, you want to start us off?
Certainly, good customer service has to be defined by the customer. It is what we experience. It is what we receive. Because it doesn't matter how well we are doing what we are supposed to be doing for the customer. It's at the end of the day how the customer feels about this, the energy, the experience that the customer walks away with. That is really what is good customer service. It has to be seen through the eyes of the customer, not through the eyes of the organization. And this is where we differentiate between customer service and customer experience.
Okay, so there is a differentiation because I noticed some companies talk about customer service, some people talk about customer experience, some people talk about this customer journey. Yanique, I know you're bursting to jump in. What is the differentiation between customer service and the customer experience? Are they one and the same?
Is that question for me?
Yes, Yanique. Sorry, darling.
Okay. All right. Yes, service and experience are completely different. So the service is speaking about a one interaction, could be you visit the location today or last week, whereas experience is the entire journey of the customer from start to finish. So it could have been I'm a customer with you from 2001, and my experience is not just based on this one interaction in the service that you provided, but the entire journey that I've been with you. So that's a differentiator.
So I may, because you have been giving me a good customer experience on my journey with this business, I may have a one-off experience that I never love, but because the experience has been good over time, I may be more forgiving.
True. Yes. Very true.
Yeah. So in terms of the whole offering of customer service, I know both of you are consultants. So when businesses come to you, a small business comes and says, I'm in the retail industry, I have 5 employees, and they go through the number of customers they serve. What are some of the fundamental advice that you give to them in plotting what good customer service should look like? Nsombi?
Sure. Every business has to start with the customer focus of the leadership, because John Maxwell says everything rises and falls on leadership. You walk into an organization and you see bad customer service, poor attitude, people sitting around a desk not really responding to the customers as they come in, or even when they call on the phone is ringing for a number of times. It usually is a reflection on the extent to which the owners of the business and the leaders of the business have decided that customer service has to be a part of the strategy going forward. Okay. And as a result of that, they will set standards, they will train people in their standards, and they will hold people accountable for adhering to the standards. And I'd like to use the example of one organization. Many years ago, when Mr. Richard was the president of Sagicor. You know, they have this blast off every year. And one year, Mr. Biles said, this year, our focus is going to be customer service. And it's like every single thing in the organization was aligned with that. And so today they are reaping the benefits of it, because at one point in the process, they decided it has to be part of the strategy. But I want to come back to small organizations, because small organizations can do this. In Jackson now, Jamaica Customer Service Association, we are having an award ceremony for nominees right across the board. And one of the it's not even an organization per se, it's Maxine and Sons Fish Shop down at Raytown. And when the gentleman sent in his video about how they serve customers, he is the one who runs the business. He was very clear. Nobody have to ask any question whether or not they are focused on customer service. And it's the same thing through every single person who works in there. You can actually see it. And so the owner of the business has to decide, listen, this is what is going to make or break my business. I'm going to pay attention to it. But most importantly, I am going to model the behavior that I want all the other people in my business to model in service.
Okay. And viewers, if you're just joining us today, we're talking about award-winning customer service, and we have Nsombi Jaja, Dr. Nsombi Jaja, Chairman of Jamaica Customer Service Association, and Customer Experience Specialist Extraordinary, Yanique Grant. So please keep those questions going. Omar, I see your question, and we're going to get to your question shortly. Now, Yanique, I know that you've been doing a lot of work online and providing a lot of advice to small businesses during COVID, how to make pivot online in serving their customers. I had a very interesting experience just yesterday. I saw something online and I messaged the business on Instagram, and immediately they responded with the price, how it was to be delivered, everything. And within 45 minutes of that first message, the item was delivered to me.
Wow.
This is called excellence. I was fascinated at the process. So we know that it can be done. So tell us a little bit. We want to talk about how good customer service, how does it differ across platforms? So when you're looking at in-person versus on the phone versus online, what are some of the differences that we see with how you serve customers well?
Well, when you're serving customers face to face, it's a little bit different because, you know, there's the body language, there's tone of voice. I mean, there's so much physical variables that you have to take into place. And of course, you know, the same attributes that Nevada would have spoken about in terms of friendly professionalism, empathy, those things are still relevant across the different channels that you're serving the customers. The difference is with digital, because of the technology has forced all of us to want everything now. People don't want to wait. They're very impatient and they expect, just as it says instant message, the word instant means it happens now. It's not happening, it's not delayed. And so if you send a message, you're expecting that somebody reads the message, especially when you have those signals on the different platforms that indicate to you that the company is online. You can see that they're online. If it's Instagram, for example, there's a little green light that shows there. If it's WhatsApp, even if they turn off their status in terms of when they're online or not, when they are actually online, it does say that they're online. So these are things that people look at. So when you send somebody a message from last week, Friday, and you don't see them send a response, and you're saying to yourself, so they haven't been on Instagram all week? That is ridiculous. They've been on Instagram and they've clearly chosen not to respond to your message. You have to be, as you were saying at the beginning, Rochelle, you have to be very responsive and you need to be able to manage these different platforms that you are on. Mm-hmm. It's best if it is that you don't have the resources in place to manage all the different channels, that possibly you need to look at the channels that you can manage, and those are the ones that you should give focus to. So if you can't manage being on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, then maybe you need to just focus on just being on Instagram and you're not on Facebook and Twitter. That way you divert all of your customers to that channel because that's the one you're most responsive on. People expect you to respond to them. They expect you to provide them with instant responses. I big up Fontana here because I remember when COVID just started, I wrote an article about navigating through customer experience online at the beginning. And I remember I had a friend that wanted to fill a prescription and I tested out 2 pharmacies and Fontana was very responsive. Within seconds, you send that WhatsApp message, somebody was responding to the prescription and they were telling you when to pick up and everything. And I thought that was brilliant. And if you're going to put yourself out there on a channel, don't just do it because it's COVID and people say, oh, you need to offer WhatsApp as a medium for communication with customers. Ensure that you have somebody designated to be monitoring that channel because that is what your customers expect.
Yes. Thanks for that, Yanique, because that's so important that we understand that some of us cannot play in all the fields. And it's best that we play in the fields that we are strongest in so that we can truly be responsive to our customers.
And Rochelle, some people will say that but Fontana is a big organization. They can do that. But in the nominees, in the entrance that we have gotten, those who've been nominated for our awards, Customer Service Award, Service Excellence Award, people in the market, they have their Facebook page and they are telling you, there are the cane man in Montego Bay who was nominated by a manager at ATL. He has his Instagram page because one of the things we insist on is that they need to send in a video of their operations, whatever it is, no matter how small it is, so that we can use those videos to judge and shortlist. But in addition to that, Digicel has offered us their platform for them to vote. So if we don't have the videos, then, and it is amazing to see how many of them have their IG account, have their Facebook page, and working it and sending in their videos. Yeah. So it doesn't matter whether you are a tiny, tiny one-man operation or you are a large organization. All of these channels are available to you. Yeah. Can in fact use them to your advantage.
And you know, it's funny because the other area that I want to touch on, there is nothing that I dislike when I am your new customer, when you treat me good, you go draw me in, and then I have a little problem, I mean they call you You're going like you don't know me. And I'm like, but you did all give me drinks when I come in at your store to buy the tea. You give me sweet drinks to drink. And then now you're going like you don't know me because me need to return the apple. You can't do that to me. So what I want to talk about now is how do we transform or transfer the love from drawing in that new customer to keeping the customer. So new customer versus repeat customer, because I mean the magic is in attracting and retaining the customer. How do we do that?
Agreed. Is that for me or Nsombi?
Yanique, jump in. You see, when you go for me, you have to go first.
Okay. Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because that's something that I complain about as a pet peeve, generally speaking, as a customer. I find that a lot of organizations give a lot of emphasis on new customers, a lot of the deals that they have and the benefits and, you know, different things that they'll introduce because they're trying to pull you in as a customer. But then people who've been doing business with you for years, I pay my bill on time every month. I've been your customer for the last 15 years. And I don't see you offering any benefit or any coupon or any, loyalty program or something that I can benefit from, seeing that I have been so consistently loyal to you over the years. So I think as an organization, you have to look at, as you had said, retaining customers, look at programs that you can put in place so that your customers can feel rewarded, they can feel appreciated, they feel like their business is not just, they're not just one of 1,000, but they're very special and they're very important to you. And that can be manifested in many different ways. It doesn't always have to be monetary. It can, come across in different forms.
Yes. And Nsombi, I know point that you've been mentioning a lot of very small businesses that are in this competition for Jamaica Customer Service Association, and it really is other customers saying this is a good business. And yes, in your response, I actually want you to kind of focus on, as a small business. So I have a small hairdressing parlor, I have a small store. I have a business where I'm selling my farm products to customers. So I'm taking the products and I'm actually getting them delivered to my customers. How do I attract those customers and keep? Because remember, I'm a small business. How do I keep that level of energy to keep you as my customer?
People like to go where they feel appreciated. And one of the things that we need to understand is attitude is one of the most important things in creating the kind of energy to attract your customers. And it cannot be about your mood and how you feel on a particular day. Those of us who are in the service business, we cannot afford the luxury of a bad day. And people say, but Nsombi, I'm a human being. I am saying to you, you don't have that luxury, because the very day that you're in a bad mood and you choose to stay in that bad mood, your customers are going to feel your energy, and that might be the last time they come. Or they make a decision that if I used to come every week, I will now come maybe once a month if they can't get the same service or the same products anywhere. So we have to work on our attitude. And I think it happens to all of us, and we have to take responsibility for it. Nevada mentioned the whole business of empathy. You need to see things through your customers' eyes. And so we have to decide what kind of ethos, what kind of environment, what kind of vibe we need to have in our place that will attract our customers time and time and time again.
Just to add to what Nsombi said, empathy is a big thing that a lot of organizations need to have included. I find over the years since I've been training that empathy is one of those skills that you learn when you're like 2 and 3, when you're socialized. Like saying good morning, good afternoon, please, thank you, you're welcome. It's something that you develop over time. I mean, like I'm trying to instill it in my daughter to some extent. She's 14 going on 15. Some things she's empathetic towards, some things she's not empathetic towards. And so at the end of the day, as a leader in the organization, it is your role and responsibility to try to cultivate activities and different sessions, different forms of training mechanisms to get the team to understand what empathy really is. Because some people just don't have it naturally. They don't know what it is to empathize.
Absolutely.
They just cannot put themselves in the shoes of somebody else. They're not able to connect with the fact that my electricity has been disconnected. I have a baby that is 3 months old. I have food in the fridge that I have to feed my children with, and if the light don't get reconnected within X amount of time, I'm at a disadvantage. Oh, sorry, they're just reading off of the paper. They're robotic and mechanical. You know, they're not extending a piece of themselves, because they're not saying to themselves, but if I was in her shoes with those circumstances, how would I have wanted to be treated?
Exactly.
Right.
And in fact, Omar Irvin had said, I'm just curious, do you think it's important for frontline staff to be trained in customer service practices at least annually? And pretty much you're saying that it is something that we have to be continuously training our people, and not assume that some of these skills, some of these soft skills come naturally, because it doesn't come naturally to some people.
Definitely.
So ladies, we have two polls. One, do you think that most businesses in Jamaica have an acceptable level of customer service? The persons who responded yes, 12% of our respondents said yes, and 88% said no. Our second poll, what is your go-to channel for contacting a business? And listen to this, phone call is 59%, social media 14%, WhatsApp 5%, and email 22%. So it was funny that you were talking about those phone calls, that person's picking up the phone, because people still do pick up the phone, especially too when them have a real problem, because they think that is only when they call that problem will be solved.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we set standards for customer service, we need to have telephone standards. How do you answer the phone? What do you say to people? How do you connect the call? How do you end the call? Because all of those things are part of the experience that the customer has, and part of how the customer is evaluating your service. Nevada spoke earlier on about being transferred pillar to post, and by the time you get to the third person and the person say hello, and you are wondering, this is the third person I'm going to be telling my story, of course your voice is going to go up. There's going to be an edge in the voice. And that person is going to operate this young woman here. Yeah. And so the standards are critical, you know, and Yanique will reinforce that. The organization must have standards. It must have standards for telephone service. It must have standards for face-to-face. When somebody walks in, what do you do? And you need to put your best personalities on the front page. Hire on attitude and train for skills. Because if somebody cannot smile, a smile can diffuse a myriad of challenges that your customers have. A smile is so engaging. And so when you smile with a customer and you say, good morning, how can I help you? It's great to have you in here today. Thank you for coming in, or something. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then you start engaging. It's amazing. And when they're leaving, say, thank you so much for choosing us. Have a great day.
You know, and Nsombi, just to add to that, I had an issue since week with a company locally. And so they have I love the chatbots that they have, that companies are embracing nowadays. I see Jamaica coming up to this global standard, and they have these chatbots, and it's brilliant. And if the chatbot can't answer the question, it automatically migrates the call to a live human being. Mm-hmm. So now I'm talking to this live human being. She still can't fix my problem. And at the end of the conversation, she's going to ask me if there's anything else I would like to be fixed. Why are you asking me about something else to be fixed when the first problem that I call about, you weren't even able to fix in the first place? So the smiling thing is, yes, I think it's important, but it is not relevant at all steps in the customer experience.
Yes. So we say greet the customer. Yes.
Yes.
Use their name.
Yes.
Take care of their needs, because that's what they come for.
Right.
Thank them for coming and invite them back. Those are the 4 rules of face-to-face. Greet the customer, use their name, because you need to engage with them to get the name. Take care of their needs. That's the most important thing that they came for. And then, having done that, thank them for coming and invite them back.
And I think is adding a sixth one that she's saying, if you haven't taken care of my need, acknowledge that.
Escalate it, yes.
So I need that empathy. It was funny. I had a situation recently, Yanique, that same kind of thing, just pillar to post, moving me from pillar to post. So by the time I reached the fifth pillar, me have an attitude. My attitude was bad. The young lady that answered the phone, she said, Miss Cameron, at this stage, I would be upset myself.
Yes.
I'm sorry for the experience. And me say, after she goes say that to people, see me turn nice. So what happened is that she immediately empathized with my issue and diffused a situation. Yes. I didn't have to escalate anywhere. I didn't have to try to figure out who I know to call. And what she did was what we talked about earlier too. She said, let me take your number. I'm going to get some help for you. And she continued reaching out, communicating until my issue was solved.
Lovely.
Very good, very good.
I had a great customer experience. So there are times too that we can actually win back what was a bad experience, but we have to have that culture permeating. And you know, COVID has just put a whole other element of craziness.
Yes.
So are dealing with our customers. And what I'd love to know is, does COVID give up business because we're going through COVID? Does it excuse bad customer service?
Absolutely.
No.
Absolutely not. You know why? Because the customers are going through immense stress and pressure. So when they come in, you have to be even more empathetic.
COVID has actually forced customers to pay more attention to customer service.
Yes.
I remember when COVID started and people were just getting accustomed to sanitization practices. One of the recommendations that I made on my social media channels is if you're going to spray somebody's hand, you need to indicate to them what is in the bottle that you're spraying on their hand.
Yes.
And I mean, you know, people were like, I remember I went to the supermarket and they sprayed something on my hand. I have eczema. It did not smell like alcohol. It was very oily. Only to hear the gentleman tell me lemongrass oil is in there. Why are they putting lemongrass oil in the liquid that needs to sanitize somebody's hand? You need to tell the customers what it is that you're doing. I understand that you're coming from a place of wanting to keep your team members safe as well as keep us as customers safe. But communication is key in this process. So I think COVID has actually raised the bar for customer service.
Absolutely. And you know, in this environment, Rochelle and Yanique, it's so important that the managers in organization take care of their people, because the human beings who serve the customers are the first link in the service profit chain. And what tends to happen is that sometimes as managers, we are tone deaf on the challenges and the pain that our people are experiencing. And so something as simple as, never mind, the sun will shine tomorrow, things will get better, it's not as bad as it seems, come, let me help you to take care of this, because it is amazing. We don't understand how much our staff are experiencing, problems they are experiencing. And so it is important that we take care of them. One CEO I used to work with, he said, treat your customers as royalty, and treat your employees just a little bit better than royalty. And Richard Branson, he said, you take care of your staff, you take care of your customers.
You know, it's funny that you should mention that quote with royalty, because Roger Simmons says some organizations treat customer service like courtship. Organizations are always great, but after that, it's all downhill. We did another poll that we asked the question, would you pay extra for a better customer experience? And ladies, 88% of respondents said yes, and only 12% said no.
Yeah.
Now, in this, when we talk about, you know, this COVID time, so the two areas that I want us to wrap up on is, one, how do we get customer service to permeate in the business? Because, you know, you will meet with the leader of the business and the leader says, yes, we love customers, we are championing customers, we are doing all kinds of things for customers. But when you get on that shop floor, you're not feeling that customer
Yes.
experience, that customer service.
Yes.
How does a small business effectively train their frontline staff?
Yanique, you want to take that, and I'll close off with
Sure.
our certification.
No problem. So, this is a very good plug for my book,
Yes.
ABC of a Fantastic Customer Experience. If you haven't gotten your copy as yet, you need to hop on to Amazon and grab a copy. But,
Written by our own grant. So this is a good for us as Jamaicans too, because this is talking our language. Thanks for that, Yanique.
Exactly. So a lot of what Nevada spoke about in the tips that he gave are actually listed in the book. So for example, A is for attitude, B is for bold brand, C is for communication. And these are things that your team members need to be reminded of constantly.
Yes.
Training and development is not something that you do one time and then you forget about it and you never ever do it again. It's something that has to be ongoing. You should definitely involve an expert like myself or Nsombi at some point, but we don't need to be there all the time. You need to have things in place, as she was mentioning, standards in place, that there can be accountability, some form of maybe appraisal that's done. If you're a small business, it doesn't have to be as big as something that would happen in a Sagicor or NCB. It could just be a little, maybe a little form that you and your boss sit down and talk about in terms of things that you need to improve on. But it must be something that's being done frequently. People need feedback constantly in the conversation. You can't be telling them that they're being marked down or they can't get a promotion at the end of year one because they weren't doing these things. But over the 12 months, nobody mentioned to them that they were failing in these areas so that they could work on these things to improve. Yes. So the onus on the leader is to ensure that they grow and develop their people. That's the most important role of a leader, to grow and develop their team members. Because if your team members are really great at what they're doing, it makes your job that much easier.
There are leaders who say, however, that as soon as I train them, they go and they leave and go to someplace else. But, I have found that when you give and pour into an employee and that employee leaves, God has a way for bringing somebody equally good or better to replace that person, because you can't give and not receive in the process. But I also want to share that certification. A lot of times we just do the training. Certification training really assesses competencies of employees. And JAXA has a certification program for customer service representative, anybody who has to deal with a customer, whether internal customer or external customer. And that certification program is very affordable. We are doing it online now, and when people are certified, because they have the competencies, it makes it easier for them to deliver the service. However, the service has to be monitored. So you pass and you see someone dealing with a customer and they did such a good job. You recognize them. You say, wow, I like the way you handled that customer a while ago, because we tend to see the bad things people do and not the good things that they do. And so the monitoring is, and as Yanique said, giving them the feedback. But don't only give them feedback on the things that they are doing wrong. Give them feedback on the things they're doing well. Because Rochelle and Yanique, there are thousands of people every day in Jamaica that's delivering good customer service. But guess what? We don't see it. We kind of take it for granted. The other thing that stands out for us is the bad customer service. And even the same people who are saying no good customer service in Jamaica, they are customer service providers also. So they really are talking about themselves. So I am suggesting to the nation, when you go to any place to have any interaction, recognize the service that you get and tell people that you appreciate it, because the things that you pay attention to, you're going to get more.
Agreed. As a matter of fact, we do an activity in our training sessions called the gratitude letter, and it actually forces the team members to pull positive experiences that they've gotten from fellow team members, thanking and appreciating them. And I mean, I've seen such wonderful things come out of it, and some it's simple things, because the reality is, as a human being, generally speaking, and this is not just specific to Jamaica, people do not practice gratitude consistently. We complain about all the things that we don't have and the things that we want, but we're not focusing on the things that we do have that are working well and show appreciation and gratitude for it. So I do agree.
And I'd like to close off with this quote that I use in my workshop. to employees. It says, learn to appreciate what you have before time makes you appreciate what you had.
Yeah.
Oh, and what a brilliant way to close off this segment. I mean, ladies, we could speak all night.
Yes.
And
All night.
our viewers, much of the information that has been presented on the show, but in fact, so much more has been provided by these two experts in this week's copy of our SME memo. And if you have not yet subscribed, please email us at sme@psoj.org. We were just joined by two customer service experts, Yanique Grant and Dr. Nsombi Jaja, and they really have gone through a lot of the important tenets of great customer service and also differentiated customer experience and customer service. We thought it was very important tonight too, though, that we bring on an organization that's well known for customer service. And tonight we are joined by Chang, who is from my favorite pharmacy. Everybody knows that I'm always in Fontana. So Chang is CEO of Fontana Pharmacy. She is, Fontana is one of Jamaica's leading national retail chains. It is born and bred and has grown right here in Jamaica. Her main responsibilities include overseeing local and foreign purchases as well as the company's marketing department. Over the past few years, she has been an integral part of establishing Fontana's social media footprint in Jamaica, spearheading their rewards program that now boasts over, guess what, 80,000 members, and establishing Fontana as a premier beauty destination for women of all ages. So since 2001, by the way, the Fontana business has flourished from 2 locations in Mandeville and Montego Bay to now include Kingston, Savannah Lamar, and Ocho Rios. Fontana is also a very strong supporter of Brand Jamaica. So throughout the pharmacy, you'll see a lot of our Jamaican brands exhibited and promoted in the stores and also on social media. And it is a pleasure having you here this afternoon. I was talking to you before the show started that I'm always in Fontana in Barbican.
That made me so happy to hear.
And Fontana, when Fontana Waterloo was open, I said, I hope they're not closing Barbican, you know, because one of the things that I find is that I haven't been for a little while and the security said, Miss Cameron, long time I don't see you. I walk into the store, people are still remembering your face. They're remembering your last purchase. And that is consistent whether I'm in the pharmacy, in the beauty section, and then I cheat on Barbican and run down to Waterloo to see what's going on down at Waterloo. And getting the same experience at Waterloo. And we really have to start out with, because this question keeps coming up in our chat. How do you get that customer service ethos to permeate through the business?
So, Rochelle, I think, as you know, we're 52 years old. So first of all, we've been around for a very long time. And I have to say, I think it really started, they touched a lot of it earlier, but my parents, Bobby and Angela Chang, I think that we kind of adhere to the same principles of, you know, treating our employees with respect, treating our customers with respect. And so we have developed a culture over time that started with them at the top and that has always, that comes to every store. So I'm not sure if you're aware, but every time we open a location, we take a number of experienced employees and move them to the new location. We've done that since we started in Mandeville all the way to Kingston, and every time, because the only way you can get a culture like that is to have people that have been around that understand this is not acceptable. This is how we operate. This is our expectation. And so we've been lucky that we have that time and experience to be able to do that. And I think we're also lucky that we've had employees. Some of our employees have been with us over 50 years. Yeah, it's amazing. And so I think that they have carried that down. And so when new employees come in, they already are hit with it immediately. What do you expect? No, you don't just say no. We try to get it for them. We have 6 locations. You know, if you don't have it here, we try to source it. So you try and instill that in them. You know, you don't just say no, or you can't be nonchalant. And because we've been around so long, our customers will tell us, and I mean personally tell us by WhatsApp or by phone call, hey, I was in there and, you know, I didn't get this and this person. And so they also know that we have almost like an army of mystery shoppers, always keep them on their toes, you know?
Yes. So in terms of training, when you're opening new locations, you do have that intense training. Do
Absolutely.
you have consistent training throughout an employee's journey with Fontana?
Absolutely. So when they first start off, we obviously have like a very basic training that they all go through, and we have a lot of experience. We have a great HR team that also does it. We have professional training at all the different levels, you know, for when they first come in for customer service, for supervisor training, because, you know, supervisors, there are a lot of things that just, you know, experience doesn't make you a supervisor. And we've learned that. And so we have different training for different job responsibilities. I know that Nsombi really hit it was either her or Yanique, I can't remember which one exactly, that talked about the importance of feedback. Often we don't know what we're doing wrong if nobody tells us. You go along. So we instill, we have twice a year formal reviews, you know, for feedback, but then we also do informal feedback on a very regular basis from their smaller team leaders to the managers in the stores. So that's also a very constant. We rely on our suppliers a lot, because a lot part of training is knowledge of the products. So that, you know, when you come in, I know Nevada was talking about that. You go in there, you expect that they know what they're talking about. You don't expect them to say, I'm not sure, I don't know. You know, so we also partner with a lot of our suppliers to make sure we get product knowledge training as well. So we look at all different aspects, not just the customer training, because part of excellent customer service is customer knowledge and problem solving for when things go really bad.
And also in the business, because one of the things we talked about that consistent service in all areas of the business. Right. Everybody's a part of customer experience and the customer journey. How do you instill in your team this attitude that says, yes, I work in beauty, and this lady has asked me where to find this, and I'm going to help her. I'm not going to say I work in beauty.
No,
how do
absolutely.
You get your team to always be on their toes? I work in beauty, but I can show you where the rice is, and in fact, I'll help you with your basket to go to the cashier.
So again, you know, I believe we talk about it a lot, but I think that we demonstrate it a lot. Like the more experienced staff, they show them, and one of the things we really emphasize is never point where anything is. You take the customer there. Don't say, oh, it's over in that aisle, you know. So regardless of who they are, they will take them over there. If they're not the expertise, they will help them as much as they can, and then hand them off when it's necessary. Because when they first start, the first thing we say to them before they're kind of left on their own, like they have to get to know everything in that store. You know, unless you're hired specifically for beauty or pharmacy, and even then they still require to get to know everything. We don't ever hire them for just one area. And the first month they have to spend really getting to know what Fontana is all about, not just who we are, but what we carry, and get to know everything in the store. So that's why they can really take you over there, and that's why they don't just hand you off, you know?
Yeah. So, you know, most businesses, January this year was really looking very buoyant. The economy was. You had launched the Great Waterloo with the escalator. So, you know, people were taking pictures of themselves on the escalator, and the year was looking good. And then boom, bam, raps. COVID-19 hits. Now, from where you sit as a CEO of Fontana, how did you pivot the customer service? What were some of the questions you had to ask yourself in making decisions of what changes you needed to make?
Okay, so the first thing we really had to ask ourselves, you know, once this really came in, because we got a good feeling about this from February. If you really kind of followed what was happening abroad, we had sort of a sense that this was going on. We had a lot of conversations about long term. What does this mean? Like, what do we have to think about from how does the customer want to interact with us? We've been seeing the curbside abroad for a while, and we had wanted to implement it. And honestly, this was the reason. When you talk about pivot, I think any company that's going to survive in COVID right now has to learn how to pivot on a lot of ways. The curbside, we rolled it out so quickly. I'm pretty sure we were one of the first ones in Jamaica to do the curbside, and the team embraced it immediately. Worked out the procedures, and we've had like amazing feedback about it. So I think the first thing is we decided, people are not going to want to come in. We got to figure out what are all the different ways that we can reach our customers to really help them. We had already been doing delivery and WhatsApp in Kingston, and it was already doing well. Now with COVID, it went like through the roof. We already had a lot of different ways that you could shop with us. We already offered the online. We did enhance it with the live chat in the last couple of months as well. We really saw a need for that to happen. The curbside has been a great success. And not only that, shopping by WhatsApp, not just texting in your RX prescription. We would have people come in and they would be taking the phone, the service reps would be taking the phone, showing people what they were looking at. Here are all the toys, here are the games. Or people would take screenshots of our Instagram. Do you have this in stock? That type of thing. The other thing I think we really did, which we started to rely on more heavily, was we have a lot of WhatsApp groups. So that say you went in there and we didn't have it, they would be texting right away. Hey, which location has this? I'll make sure we get it down, because we send the trucks all over. It's not here, but guess what? Mobile has it. I can get it down in 2 days. Give me your number and I will take care of it for you. That's customer service. Shopping really on their terms. And I think that's what we were able. People had choices.
Shopping on your customers' terms. And I think that's something that's a little lost sometimes when we're looking at customer service, that it's not just for it's not for the convenience of the business, it's for your customer.
Nsombi I was going to bring it up, and she really said it beautifully. The customer drives the process, and that's totally true. When you look at what some of the businesses, I think the mistakes they make, they have their internal procedures and all of this kind of stuff, and it's not very customer centric. Yeah. And then they wonder why there's a problem. Right? And what you have to realize is you need to start thinking from a customer's perspective. I mean, we've been guilty, but we've changed because we listen to our customers. You put things in there to make it easier for you for a reconciliation or for this end, but some of them are not very customer friendly. And when the customer tells you it's not working for them, you need to change it. And so that's, I think, one of the most critical things for business right now is you have to let them shop on their terms and let them dictate what it is and how they want to do it. And you better be ready to turn it. So like I said, we saw the WhatsApp, the curbside, the delivery service, all of those things like go through the roof. And we just, kept adding on to it, paying attention to it.
And I think that point that you made regarding your internal processes, because a lot of times when we think of customer service, we only think of the frontline staff. Are they empathetic? Are they smiling? Are they greeting? But then they're dealing with trying to resolve a billing issue because internally the processes are complicated and bureaucratic, so they can't get anything actually done. But and I see that you put a lot of work in cutting that down so that you're responsive to not your internal processes, but to your customer process.
100%. Oftentimes we'll say to them, listen, you do what the customer needs. We'll figure it out on the back end. You can always figure it out on the back end. Like, don't let it hold you up. That's really my advice. You can always sort it out later. But if the customer is happy, whatever you have to do to figure out, backtrack. I'll go to places and they don't do that. And I'll say to, they'll make excuses or this is why. And I'll be like, I don't care about your internal process. I don't care about your internal fighting or problems. All I know is that me as a customer, I'm not getting what I want. So you figure out that stuff. I don't need to be involved in it. And just give me what I need. And so we always try to have that kind of philosophy. And we do. We had a really good example. I think of how we listen to our customer and change. At your very favorite store, Barbican, have you noticed a change there? Have you gone in for your prescription recently?
Yeah.
A customer had told us that during COVID, it felt very tight in the pharmacy and that she wanted to bring it up to us. And sometimes like you look at things, but somebody points it out.
Yeah.
We went in there and we said, we got to figure out, if she took the time to write us, we have to try and resolve it. And we figured out a way to take out a couple of the gondolas without cutting down on any of the SKUs. Mm-hmm. And honestly, it was transformational. And we saw it every day, but it took this customer to say, is there something you can do? She didn't tell us what to do, but she just said, I feel like it's a little crowded and I would like more space there. And we accommodated it and it was great. And I'm thankful that our customers feel comfortable enough to write us and tell us about the problem.
Exactly. So I remember when you introduced curbside, mm-hmm. I was a little skeptical because I said, that sounds too complicated, but I needed the curbside. So in reaching out, it was fascinating to me. And I want us to get into a conversation on your own digital transformation. Sure. Because there was the WhatsApping, so I'm using that mechanism, but that the salesperson had to know what brand I wanted, what size. And they actually went through the process of showing me all of the pictures so I could choose which one I wanted, what size. And it just dawned on me too that even when we're introducing things like curbside, the customer service is not just the curbside.
So
it's
true.
Not just the WhatsApp. It's how I actually get the right product, that you've come out there with the swipe machine and the right things are in the bag. How do you pull all of that together?
You know what I'm going to tell you how they pull it together is I think we really empower our employees. Sometimes not putting limitations on them is the best thing to do. So we give them a general framework, but honestly, they tailor it to what the customer is asking. We never say to them, okay, you can't send them pictures. You can't spend this much time. It's like, if they're coming to you, you need to do whatever it is. And they love to do it. They love that satisfaction. And I'm sure every customer's WhatsApp and curbside experience is different, which is what makes it amazing. So I believe we really empower our employees. And again, that's something that my parents did, I think, way back when, where that wasn't even a word, really putting trust in them to know what to do. Another example, like from, how we empower them is the hand sanitizing. We were really the first place to do that. That was completely employee driven. And at first I was a little skeptical of it, but sometimes we're like, okay, let's see how it works. We never want to say just like outright no.
Yes.
Let's see how it works. And then we can, make changes. And I'm telling you, now it's a standard, but we were the first ones to do it in Jamaica. And I saw like people abroad even asking us, saying, wow, that's a great idea. But those were employees that came up with that. That was not a directive from the directors or from us. They thought it was a great idea. They rolled it out across the stores and now everybody is doing it. So empowering them to really make, that experience how the customer wants it. I don't think there's a simpler way to really put it.
Yes. And you really have embraced that whole digital transformation. I see there is a new card that you have.
Yes. I'm so glad you brought that up, Rochelle. It's been really exciting for us. So besides our own card now that you can get digitally right to your phone, by the way. So now we did just roll it out in Waterloo while we're sorting it out. Mobe is being trained, but it will be offered at all locations. So it's not just our card. So you can get it and it will be activated in like less than a minute. So I could send you one, Rochelle. Perhaps I will send you one. You'll get a nice little surprise tomorrow and try it out. It goes right to the phone, but it's not just the Fontana card. We have a whole range. We have iTunes, Amazon, DSW, Xbox. So what we're looking for is now when you come at Christmas or a birthday and you have multiple people, sometimes you don't find exactly what you want. And now you can. And now it'll be sent to them. You don't even need paper. So it was really, I think you're right. Like, I think that we have really been embracing, like we really embrace the whole digital age. Our social media, I heard somebody else say, that they go on there to check our hours. We really find that that's what people want, information. So if I want to know what's happening at Fontana, I know I can find it somewhere on their social media. You know?
And it's an interesting approach when I saw that card, that digital card come out, that it wasn't just about shopping in Fontana.
Yep.
You're saying my customers sometimes may come in and I don't have what they want, but I'm going to ensure that they get what they want. And that's a whole different way of looking at how you treat your customers.
No, and it is, because I know some people be like, well, it's your competition, but if they didn't buy anything from me, then I've lost the sale altogether, right? So it's better to be part of something. And if that's what they want, then we'll give that to them. So I mean, we're really excited about that. And I think it's going to be especially great for Christmas. And it's not quite up on the website yet, but everything we're working out, it'll be there for Christmas, and you can just go on and order it. So people from abroad can do it. Again, you're not even limiting it to people in Jamaica anymore.
Wow. And let me just share one of the polls that we have.
Okay.
So one of our polls asked, what kind of customer service do you value most? And 12% actually say online, 76% say face-to-face, and 12% say over the phone. And you're actually experiencing that at Fontana.
And we do, it's interesting. A lot of people use the website as the first to go and take a look at it, but then they want to come in. And I think it's because we're not like North America where it's so far away or you don't have access. Because we have 6 locations across, sometimes they just want to look, but they still want to touch and feel, which I'm really glad for.
Yeah, so Empowerment Dr. Smith Consult says, I love my Fontana. Their Osherius Business Center has been integral to my business success, and they've never forgotten my birthday. Thanks to manager Miss Carr and her amazing team. So we're getting a big up for the Osherius branch.
That's so good to hear. So, I heard Yanique say something about being a longtime customer, and she's right. That is a very important aspect of customer service. Like, it's not just when you're in the store. And I think that we really focus on we have our own rewards program. Yeah. And so you get special deals. The card is free. Sometimes it's like 30, 50% off just for having a rewards card. But we really focus on our long-term customers. The birthday club is something that we started. People love it. You get a discount on your birthday, and they get a call. We've had people say, my husband didn't even remember it was my birthday, but Fontana did. So to me, that's all part of, because, that's customer appreciation. Yes. That's what builds loyalty. And that's customer service. It's not just when you're in the store, when you're buying for something, it's how do you make me feel all the time?
Yes. Well, this has been such a great conversation with you. And I know many of your very loyal Fontana customers, but also new customers that wonder, what is all of this excitement with Fontana? And it's absolutely brilliant when we have a Jamaican born and bred company that has consistently transformed itself, not based on what internally it thinks it should be, but based on its customer needs, empowering your employees and serving well. What would you like to leave our viewers with? I'll give you a last word with our viewers.
So, it's funny when we were going through it, I feel like there were 3 things that your other guests really hit on. If I were saying for a small business, what I'd look for customer service, Nevada said about conflict resolution and managing solution. Often the customer service is, how do you handle the ones that went bad for whatever reason? How do you react? How do you deal with it? That's really when you see what customer service is all about. It's not when things are going well. It's when something really doesn't go well. How are you handling that? That is critical as far as I'm concerned. The second one, Nsombi said about let the customer drive the process, which we talked about. That I cannot even emphasize. Being flexible, being adaptable, be ready to change it. It doesn't matter if you spent a month working out this thing and then you put it in place and it doesn't work. You have to scrap it. It doesn't matter, right? If the customer doesn't like it and it's going to turn them away, then get rid of it. Be flexible, be adaptable, make sure you're listening and get ready to pivot, especially in these times. And then the third one, I thought Yanique absolutely hit on, which I think a lot of small businesses try to do. They try to be everything to everybody and do all of it and do nothing well. And she's right. Like even about the social media, even us, if you notice, we really focus on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. We're not really on Twitter.
Yeah.
Twitter, that's a whole different animal. And you got to be prepared to do those types of things.
Yeah.
And so I think that was really good advice to her. Don't be everything to everybody. Focus on what you can do well and continue to do it. And that'll be good customer service. Otherwise, you'll annoy the customers and drive them away when you think you can do everything and you don't do anything well.
Oh, thank you for that wrap up. So we just had a fantastic conversation with Chang, who is CEO of Fontana, and she pretty much brought us through Fontana's customer service ethos, how they empower their team, and how they're constantly pivoting their service to meet the needs of their customers. So tonight we've talked about award-winning customer service. Nevada, are you still backstage?
Yeah, I'm here. Hey, how you doing? Still here.
So Nevada, what great
Yes.
conversation tonight. I like how everything has just been wrapped up together, this award-winning customer service. And you went through 10 points earlier. So 2 things before we leave tonight. One, any final thoughts on what our guests discussed? And I think we should go back through those 10 customer service tenets.
Absolutely. A lot of very critical learning. But the one thing we have to remember, good customer service is attached to good profits. How long should say Fontana be around? 52 years. 52 years in a constant existence is not an accident. That is high customer service. That is adaptable. Look how many changes we've had in retail, right? And still able to manage. So that whole sense of of connecting the high quality customer service with the deliverable, and by doing it by adapting. Remember, she's Chang said she doesn't have to come up with every idea. The employees also know what's good for the customer based on what the customer is asking. So that's quite an amazing thing. And the other thing that is crucial, remember, customer service is not only how the frontline treats you, is that you have the products, you have them available, and it's at a reasonable price. So the entire customer experience is from what's available to how you're treated on the front line. Really, really excellent learning across the board. So just then to go through the 10, as we spoke about at the beginning. So there's expertise in product, in service, and company processes. Your frontline must know what you offer, right? Customer appreciation. Are you happy that they've come in, or they might bother you, right? Accessibility across multiple channels, the website, the online, the social media. As Yanique said, do only the ones that you can manage. Don't try to be all things to all people. If you can only manage Instagram, stay with Instagram, no matter with Twitter. Friendly professionalism, empathy, right? What is it that the person needs? Are you speaking in a language that they can understand? You understand how they're approaching you? First call resolution, right? I may have come to you in the beauty section, but I want to know where the rice is. As Chang said, they're not just going to point to you and they have to ask somebody else over the other side. They are going to take you there to find the rice and help you get to the cash register. The response time, how quickly should people expect to hear from you when a request has been made or a complaint has been made? Ongoing communication as a first customer, as a new customer, as an older customer. What are you offering? How often are you communicating? What are you communicating? The apology and the crisis. How well do you deal with it? Very often that's how people remember how good a service you offered. And consistency. Making sure that when I come in, I basically get the same type of service, whoever happens to be working that day.
Yes. So this has been an eye-opening episode, or award-winning customer service. This is our episode 25. If you are joining us for the first time and you're wondering, where do I find the other 24 episodes? You can find them right here on Facebook. They're also available on smallbusinessportal.com. Write that down. Smallbusinessportal.com, which is a PSOJ resource that provides guidance and tips on just about every kind of business issue that you may have. So we're also on YouTube, and I like to tell people you can make us big on your big screen TV and gather the family around, but also your team members, that you can use some of these resources as training for your team members. If you have not yet signed up for our weekly newsletter or weekly memo, this week it is a 14-page memo that goes through all of these points that we discussed on customer service. So it's an easy training manual that is being made available free to you, because we want our SMEs not only to survive, but we want you to thrive. SMEs are the engine of growth of this economy, and we want to see our SMEs grow and thrive. So we're here every week at 7:30 p.m. 7:30 p.m. every week, where we discuss various business issues. So again, email us at sme@psoj.org. And I am looking forward to seeing you again live next week for episode 26. Thanks again, Ricardo.
Excellent. And remember, if after a year of being with us, you have not improved your business skills, it's crucial that you make sure that you keep up to date on the programs and expand your business acumen and your financial knowledge.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. And as Rochelle said, please stay in touch, stay tuned.
Yes, see you next week. Well, good.